Hello and welcome back to part 6 of my fountain pen collection. As you can see, I have my ink arriving from J Herbin. Originally I was going to test the Herbin inks against Visconti and Diamine, but with this number of samples coming through, I think I will test the products against each other first here, against each of the Herbin products before I put it up against Diamine and Visconti. I mean, Herbin has been around for a long time. It's just, unfortunately, it's not as well known as the other ink makers or pen makers out there. So that's one of the reasons why I decided to give these a test. I looked up the range, and they were having almost 30 different color ranges to choose from. So here I don't have the full range. I think I have 14 of the samples, mostly in red, blue and green, and I think there's one black in there to test out as well. So I'll put it to the test with a couple of illustrations as per normal, just to see the ink color and see how the ink flows and dries. J Herbin was a sailor, and from many of his travels and journeys to India, he brought up back to Paris some recipes for making sealing waxes and inks. And in the 19th century, this kept on developing from the production of India ink, the Chinese ink, until what is now a very water-based ink. So pH neutral in the inks. They're using natural dyes. So and it's very exciting that I'm fascinated by the history of the inks and how it came about, and I wanted to test it in a way that shows off the color and the range available against the bigger brand names, mainly because they're not promoted as much. I don't think they have the same marketing power as like a Mont Blanc, for example. I mean, Mont Blanc, I have nothing against the inks, but I will be testing against the Mont Blancs later in the series. I mean, they have enormous marketing power, mainly because they do other stuff as well, other than pens and inks. They also do leather, watches, jewelry, sunglasses, you name it. Perfume now. I think they're also doing, just a whole wide range of products. And if they have that, they obviously promote the name at the same time. And whereas the smaller companies, they don't really have that. They have great products, but they don't really have the same marketing power. I mean, the same goes with Parker and Waterman and those companies. They have the marketing, and they just push out the products. And so hopefully today I will try to give you some results or some of my tests to see the differences of the inks from Herbin. So as normal, I will cut into a time lapse now to save some time, but then hopefully I'll talk to you in a second with the illustrations already done. And here it is. We have the first drawing, and here I'm using 3 colors. This is the Rogue. I don't know if you can see that. Garubier. I've used also the green here. Lia Sauvage. And then the Éclat de Saphir. I mean, sorry for the pronunciation. My French is not as good as it used to be. But here, what I want to illustrate this. Actually, the colors are very sharp. So the green and the dark blue is very sharp. Here, the red is slightly lighter than normal. So it's quite interesting to see. It's not like a blood red or anything. It's almost approaching a pink. The blue is nice, but I will cut into a fast forward. It's ones we made earlier. I can even show you the two at the same time. In fact, maybe better. Here, actually, if you compare the red, actually this is even lighter now. So this one is this Rogue Bourgogne, and this is actually is now approaching a pink. So this is quite unusual. Actually, kind of like it. I mean, it's you don't see it very often. I don't see this shade of red and pink very often. So, I mean, I don't think I would use it for any business writing, but certainly creative writing or drawings. Then, actually, I have no hesitation in using that. The green, it's approaching a grey now. This Vert Empire. So, not too keen on that, but I actually much prefer this olive green. So this is very light. So compared with this dark green here, I actually much prefer the lighter olive. And two more colors stand out on this drawing as well, which is the blue Mysotis or something. I think this is called the blue Mysotis, and also the Diablo menthe, which is this light turquoise blue here. So really interested in those two colors that really stand out. So I think I will put the Diablo menthe, the olive green, and also this pink color into the test against the other inks, because I think what I'm trying to look at is the different variations of shades of color, and I think this meets the portfolio of what I'm looking for. I'm looking for unique inks that kind of really stand out when I'm using it. People will kind of ask me as to what shade of color ink that was, and I think that is part of the fascination with my collection right now. So the uniqueness of the pen in terms of how it looks, the functionality of the filling mechanism, and also the shading of color is very interesting for me. I mean, with the ink, it goes beyond the color. It's we're looking at now saturation, the feathering, bleeding of the ink, the light fastness, the shading, the time to dry, and the water fastness. So it's we're looking at many aspects of the ink that actually I never really considered when I started the collection. I just figured I was just going to pick out one shade of red, one shade of green, one shade of blue, and probably one of black. But actually it's kind of expanded beyond that now. It's now looking at uniqueness of color and how and how they react as well onto paper. I mean, I had a quick look. This is putting through the Diablo menthe on the lamy necks. I don't think you can see it too well on the screen, but it's very light. But I kind of like it because it's a very different shade of blue. It is turquoise now, so I will pick up other turquoise colors to match against. Otherwise, I'm not making a fair comparison. If I'm doing a turquoise against a dark blue, then it kind of makes no sense as well with the tests. This is with the Herbin Pearl Noir, which is the black, and what you notice is actually we have very fast drying times with these inks. So if you're actually a left-hander, then this is probably the most ideal ink for you, because it dries very quickly. I think after 5 seconds it's completely dried. So if you compare with some of the other inks, they are drying very slowly in my other tests. So after 45 seconds, but certainly with this ink it's drying very fast. So hopefully I'll do more tests. I'll pick out 3 inks against the Visconti and also against the Diamine in my next video, so hopefully to catch you then. Cheers.